Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the opposition preview ahead of Everton versus Chelsea at Goodison Park, Sunday, 2 p.m. Kick-off. The Blues, not with a good record at Goodison Park. 4 defeats in the last 5 visits there. It's going to be tough. We're not in the best of form. So, yeah, Everton doing well. Back-to-back wins so far with Nottingham Forest away and the big win against Newcastle at Goodison 3-0. This is going to be a tough ask for Chelsea, but you never know with Chelsea. It'll be a Chelsea thing to turn up after the midweek horror show and actually win this game. You just don't know what you're going to get. But to discuss all things Everton and look ahead to the game, I'm delighted to be joined by Ellis from the Toffee Blues Everton fan channel. Mate, thanks for coming on. It's fair to say that Everton, despite the 10-point deduction, you've actually playing pretty well recently. I mean, do you feel that, the 10-point deduction has perhaps lit a bit more of a fire, with everyone surrounded with the club, fans, players, etc., to spur you on to perhaps better performances than you may have had if you didn't have the point deduction? Is that a fair thing to say?
I'd say it's definitely united the club as a whole. I think everyone's together now. Fans, club, manager, everyone is all one now, which is a massive thing, of course. If you want to do well as a team, you need to all be on the same page, and they are now, which is a big thing. But I'll have to say, though, before we got the points deduction, we were on really good form anyway. So this has been coming. I wouldn't say that it's a direct causation between the deduction and the upturn in performances. I think that would actually be a bit of a disrespect to what Sean Dyche has done, because we really have been building, and away from home, we've been fantastic. And the one thing evading us has been the home form for quite a while. And before the Newcastle game, we'd won 1 at home all season. And then we go and beat Newcastle 3-0. And now suddenly we're looking at home games thinking, oh, we can actually have a go in these as well now. So I wouldn't say the points deduction is the direct reason, but I just think it has lit that fire, especially with the fans. And it's brought the players even closer to the fans, which is only going to be a good thing.
No, absolutely. Almost that kind of us against the world sort of siege mentality thing. And I've seen that when Mourinho was with us all those years ago. That's kind of very much how he operated, kind of a siege mentality, us against everyone. And it can get more from the players, more from the fans, etc. So yeah, I think Everton are doing well. The funny thing is, you'd be ahead of us in the table if it wasn't for the points deduction you got. But I mean, what have you made of Everton's start to the season? Forget your position in the table, because we know that that you shouldn't really be where you are. But as the start of the season, about 13, 14 games in now, has it gone as you expected it to go, or are you doing better, doing worse? I mean, what are your thoughts on your start?
I'd say we're probably doing better than I thought we would be, especially away from home. The away form is just unbelievable. I don't know how we're doing that, but Dyche has really found a blueprint away from home. And I'd say the home form has probably been a bit under par, really, because we've lost to the likes of Luton, Wolves, Fulham, some really on paper games that you should be winning that we didn't win. And a lot of that wasn't due to performance. It tended to be due to not taking our chances at home. And thankfully we took our chances against Newcastle. But overall, I'd say we've been pretty good. I think we're starting to see a team that we can identify with, that you can look at and go, we're going to get this every week. Consistency in performance and consistency in mindset as well. These players don't give up when they go behind. We've got a great record when we go ahead and a bad one when we go behind, but you just feel like there's something in them that they are going to continue fighting for you. So that's something that we've not had. We had Frank Lampard, who you guys know really well, and that team just got to a point where if you go behind, that was the end of the game. And I feel like Dyche has really instilled that mentality into these lads now, where they won't give up, and also they all believe in what they're doing, and we're a very organised unit now, I'd say.
Do you think Sean Dyche is getting the credit that he deserves for the job that he's doing at Everton? I think, there's very much this reputation about what Dyche does from his time at Burnley, sort of, 4-4-2, 2 big men up front, hoofing the ball into the box kind of vibe. Do you think he gets the credit he's deserving? Because I look at what he's doing at Everton. I think he's doing a very good job. I think you play some good football. Yes, your strengths are set pieces and putting balls into the box, of course. But you see, the 29 passes for a goal, for one of the goals against Newcastle. You're not going to get that every time. But this Everton team can also play, and I think that's something that perhaps people they tend to overlook quite often as well. Look, yes, you've got your core style, of course, but I mean, do you think Dyche is getting the credit he deserves? And how's he viewed amongst the Everton fans now that he's been here for a little while after replacing Lampard?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you and say that we score goals from 29 pass moves every week. That was quite a shock to me as well. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but we did it. And I think it kind of adds to the thought process in my head about Sean Dyche that he gets wrongly pigeonholed as a certain type of manager, I think. And he admitted that himself in the podcast that he did when he was out of a job. And obviously that could have been maybe selling himself a bit. But I do think he is right in the sense that he isn't this manager that everyone thinks he is, can only play one way and doesn't adapt. I don't think that's true at all. And I think he's slowly winning more and more Evertonians over because at the start, of course, the football isn't ideal. It's obviously not, the dream kind of style of football, but I'm starting to enjoy what I'm watching. And I would say that it isn't what you saw at Burnley. He's evolved since then. He's got better players now at Everton. And I think he looks at what he's got and works with that. So obviously we've improved the squad in the summer and we've gone up a level since then. So he obviously is looking at the players and going, yeah, we maybe can do a bit more with them now. And I feel quite sorry for him really, because before the points deduction, we were getting to a point where we were very comfortable in mid-table. Of course, we'd be 10th now in the league. And maybe that would have just let the reins off even more and allowed him to try having an even more expansive style, perhaps. But obviously then you plunge back into survival mode when you get the 10-point deduction. But I think Dyche has won a lot of fans over. He still had doubters even maybe 4 to 5 weeks ago. And when we got beat to Luton, that week he could have lost his job. And obviously he got saved by winning in the cup against Villa and winning against Brentford. But if they hadn't have won them and then we lost to Luton, he wouldn't be here now. So there's been times where he's nearly gone. And thankfully he stayed because I've backed him throughout and I think he's the right man just to steady that ship for us. We're going through a very important transition period at Everton, as you guys are. And we need someone to steady that ship while we go into the new stadium, while we oversee some new ownership. There's a lot of things going on at Everton at the moment and we need that stability. And I think that's what he brings.
No, absolutely. I think he's, I agree that he gets pigeonholed as a certain type of manager, but I think he's exactly what it is. He's a safe pair of hands and he brings stability at a time that the club really needs it, and you don't like the fans aren't on board with the ownership at all. And all that sort of thing. You need that stability with the manager. And I think he brings that. So, fair play to him. I think he's doing a brilliant job there. I mean, if we look ahead to the game on Sunday, I mean, Chelsea come into town. As I touched on at the top of the show, our record's not the best there. You tend to do well against us at home, but not do so well when you come to Stamford Bridge. What are you expecting from Chelsea? Because I'll be honest, mate, I've got no idea what Chelsea's going to turn up on Sunday. And I think that's how a lot of the Chelsea fans feel. I mean, do you feel the same? I don't expect you to have watched a lot of Chelsea games this season, but is that kind of how you're feeling heading into this game? You're not really sure what you're going to get. You could get a Chelsea side that turn up and win 2 or 3-0, or you could get a Chelsea side that just don't turn up and you roll us over quite easily.
I think Chelsea's probably been the hardest team for me to actually form a true opinion on, because I think it's hard for you guys to form your opinion on it because every game you see a different Chelsea. If I'm looking at the Chelsea who went and got that point against Manchester City, I'm worried because, of course, you were really good in that game and then you go and play like that against Man United. So I don't really know what to expect, like you say, but I know that you've got a lot of ability there. There's a lot of young players who have real talent, but I'd say there's a lack of leaders. That's one thing that I'm looking at. Can you guys turn up at Goodison when the atmosphere might be quite hostile and intense? Can they step up in that game? I think you'll be looking to your older heads, the likes of Raheem Sterling. He really needs to step up there. And there's a lot of players I'm worried about. Obviously, you've got a lot of pace, and we don't in some areas, especially at fullback. I'd be worried about Mudrik's pace. I'd be worried about the technical ability of Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez. So there's no doubt that you've got a better team than us and a team that should be doing a hell of a lot better. But there's a lot of things that I look at and can think we could get at you guys. And I think there's going to be goals because you guys leak goals for fun. And we've scored 3 last night. So I'm hoping we can score some. But I think Chelsea is such a weird one at the moment. And for anyone to fully say what Chelsea are at the minute, I think it'd be quite difficult.
It is difficult. I mean, what we are right now, you'd have to say we're an average mid-table side. The table doesn't lie. We're sort of 14, 15 games into the season now. And we are where we are because ultimately we've not been good enough. We can make whatever excuses we want. Some valid, some perhaps less valid, but we are where we are because that's how good we are right now. That's just the reality of the situation, unfortunately, for us. I mean, would it be fair in saying that if Chelsea are going to have success, then it's going to come down to maybe targeting Ashley Young if he plays? And what I know, Mikalenko on the other side at left back is perhaps he's a lot more competent, I would say. It'd be harder to get a good time out of him, but certainly Ashley Young, someone that can be exploited. Maybe balls over the top in behind with the pace we've got could be another way of exploiting Everton's backline. Do you think that's where we might have our most success?
Yeah, I think Ashley Young's obviously 38 years old. We have to remember that, but he's very fit for his age. And against Newcastle, he was fantastic. But there's been times this season where his lack of, I suppose, being switched on in alert situations has caught us out, which you'd expect with his age. He's not as quick as he was, so sometimes he has to bring players down instead of maybe having a foot race with them. So he can easily get booked. And when he's on a card, that's a big worry for Everton. Of course, as well, our midfield, Idrissa Gueye likes to make a few tackles, and when he gets booked, then there's another player on a tightrope. I suppose it would be similar for you with Conor Gallagher. When he gets booked, you're then thinking, can he stay on the pitch? And that is something for us to be wary of. But the way that you're going to get us, I think, is through your pace, because Everton are going to force you wide. We defend very narrow. We like you guys to cross the ball into the box. If you get wide and throw balls into the box, Tarkovsky and Branthwaite will deal with that all day. But where you're going to get us is from that intricate play on the wings, and also just having those nimble players who can get through us. That's why I'm worried about Mudryk, who hasn't been great this season, but he's just a player who I think could really affect us. And one of the players who's had the most joy against us this season was Eberechi Eze, a player who can just dribble through a defence. And that's what you're going to need. You're going to need someone to cut us open, because Everton are a very organised unit. And maybe the fact that we defend so narrow will mean it'll allow your wingers to really run with it and get at us. And if you've got the quality that I can see, obviously with Sterling, Mudryk, these kind of players, then I think you could get some joy there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's going to be, a big day for Cole Palmer, Sterling, Mudryk, whoever ends up playing. I agree. That's going to be where we have where we have some potential success. I look at the midfield battle as being key. Midfield's always a key battle in every football game. But Enzo and Caicedo, were massively overrun in midweek against Man United. I think they've struggled this season for sure. They've shown quality, but they've also struggled to play well together on a consistent basis. Conor Gallagher will almost certainly come back into the side, which should make a difference in terms of the pressing and the energy in there, which should make sure we don't get as overrun. But, I don't know if Enzo and Caicedo are going to be up for the physical battle they're going to get from the likes of Onana, Doucouré, Idrissa Gueye. It's going to be really physical, could get quite feisty in there. When you look at a player like Onana, I don't want to be disrespectful, but do you feel like you almost know that he's too good and he's going to leave? Is that a fair? Is that an unfair thing to say, or do you sort of look at him and think we should enjoy him whilst we have him, but we probably know that maybe next season he probably isn't going to be here, or is that a bit unfair?
You have to think realistically, don't you? And Amadou Onana is a really good player. He's a player who's still waiting to have a season where he's fully consistent all the way through. I think that's the season that will then get him that big move. He was injured the last couple of games, so that's why you've not seen him recently. But he might be back in the team for Sunday. He might not be. But he's an important player, and he's a player that is going to go on to new heights. We're always wanting a little bit more from him, and he's given that at times for us this season. When he's not there, you notice, because when we don't have that much of the ball, when we get it back, we want to use it well. And we don't always use it well when he's not there. Idrissa Gueye often gives the ball away. Doucouré the same. Those two are nowhere near as like neat on the ball, I suppose, and Onana is. And he's also got that physical presence to drive forward. So if he plays, that'll be a massive boost to us. But the other midfielders are important too. Doucouré almost plays as a second striker, so he'll be really high up the pitch. He'll be kind of making those high pressure runs, like trying to really close down that defense, which is somewhere I think we can catch you out. I think Doucouré will be trying to close down your keeper, Robert Sanchez. I think that's somewhere we'd be looking to target. And then the other midfielder, it could be James Garner. He was ill for the game against Newcastle, but he could be back. Or it could be Idrissa Gueye, who's been brilliant recently. But there are midfielders in there who can easily give the ball away. And obviously quick turnovers with a pacey Chelsea team, that could be another opportunity for you to get through.
No, absolutely. I think, where you'll have success against us, absolutely. If you press us from the front, then, when we're on the ball there at the back, then, I think we'll have some success there. Our playing out from the back has been really poor this season, highlighted on Wednesday night with an all-time low in terms of our passing out from the back and playing out from the back. Couldn't string two passes together, playing it out of play, giving it away. Sanchez always makes me nervy on the ball. He's good. He's made some great saves. He made some really good saves in that United game, and he's part of the reason why we only lost 2-1. But it's also fair to say that he makes me very nervous when he's on the ball. His distribution is not great. Our passing out from the back has not been good. So if you press us high from the front, then I think, you could cause us some problems there. You could easily win the ball back high up the pitch in a dangerous area. Look, I think it's fair to say that Everton's front three, not blessed with the most quality, but it works very, very hard. McNeil works hard. He's got a good shot on him as well. I wouldn't be surprised if you had a bit of success with him potentially shooting from distance. Look, Calvert-Lewin works hard. He's not the most talented boy in the world, but he can be a handful. He's good in the air if you get balls into the box. Do you think your front three has got the ability to cause us problems? They haven't got the most ability, but they certainly work hard and they do make things happen. Jack Harrison as well, another one who's been very good.
Yeah, we've got a strong attack in terms of work rate, and I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin's a bit of a better player than you made out there. Really, he's very good at linking the play together, and he's so important to our structure. He's absolutely massive. And
is he more important than Beto?
Yeah, he is. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's your first choice striker, and Beto's still trying to make his way in the Premier League. He's extremely raw. So if Beto starts, you will not have a clue what he's going to do. He's very unpredictable. He seems like he's very good when he's running at players. So the goal that came against Newcastle, he had the ball in front of him, and I felt like he was going to score the minute he got it. But in terms of bringing others into play, he's not quite got that refined style that Dom has, where you know that when he gets it, it's going to stick to him, he's going to move it on. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin's a really, really important player for us, but they can only be as good as the wingers. And the two wingers who have really actually struggled in an attacking sense in recent weeks have suddenly picked up in the last two games. But Harrison and McNeil, they were struggling. They were doing a job defensively, putting that shift in, really working hard, but there was no end product and there was nothing on the other end of the pitch. Whereas in the last two games, they've stepped it up. And Dwight McNeil got his first goal against Nottingham Forest, then got another against Newcastle. So he's full of confidence. And I wouldn't let him take any shots on his left foot because he really has got a good strike on him. On the other side, Jack Harrison works extremely hard. Not quite got as much quality as McNeil, but I'd be looking at Harrison thinking he's going to run around and he's going to chase up there and try and press you guys high. And one thing that I've identified is obviously Levi Colwill. Played left back a few times for you guys. I don't know if we'll see that again after the United performance.
I hope we don't see it again. I've been saying all season I don't want to see it again, and we keep seeing it, and he keeps getting exposed by wingers. So
I think that's something we've got to target. If Harrison can get up high against him, win the ball back. You saw Kieran Trippier, one of the most experienced fullbacks in the league. He got burned last night. Yeah, completely. So we'd be looking to do that again to a centre-back who shouldn't really be playing left-back. So that's somewhere we can get in. But this attack, it's more about the work rate than anything. But there are glimpses of quality, and I think you should definitely worry about Dwight McNeil with the form that he's on.
No, absolutely. I think you'll have success, putting balls into the box and from set plays as well. You're a tall side. You've got good physical presence. We haven't been defending set plays well. We're letting a lot of goals in from set pieces. We're not picking people up. We've conceded 3 goals in the last sort of 3 games, with people having 3 headers in the box. So that's definitely an area Everton can target as well. And it's one of your strengths is balls into the box and set play. So I expect, it's to be us to have difficulty dealing with those. But I mean, mate, to round out score prediction, we've kind of said that, this is a really tough one to predict. Your home form's not the best and you don't really have any idea what you're going to get from Chelsea, which makes this quite unpredictable despite your good record against us at Goodison in recent years. I mean, how are you seeing this one going?
Back us to score this time because we've started scoring now. And I think that it'd be a surprise if we then went off the back of the Newcastle game and then didn't even put one in the net against you guys. I feel like that's going to happen. We are going to score at some point. We haven't lost when we've took the lead this season, which is an important stat to note because that will give me a lot more confidence if we get the first goal. If we don't, then it will be a much more difficult game to win for us. So I'm not going to back us to win because if we beat you guys, Newcastle and Nottingham Forest in the same week, then that's
a mad week.
Dream world, isn't it? So we're not going to win. Well, I'm not going to say we're going to win. I'd love to win. But I'm going to go with 2-2. I think it'll be a score draw. Might be feisty. You guys will score because you always score, but you also let a lot in as well. So I think it'll be a chaotic game. It'll be one of those really hotly contested draws, and it'll be interesting for sure.
I mean, Chelsea are just chaos everywhere we go at the moment. So whether it's good or in a good or bad way, I'll be honest, I haven't got the confidence in this side to say we're going to go to Goodison and win. So like you, I think it will be a score draw, but I'm going to go with a 1-1, perhaps a little bit more out of hope than maybe expectation. But I just don't see us winning this game. That's the reality. I think, you've got every chance, but I think a draw is probably the most likely, which doesn't really suit us, and it probably suits you reasonably well. You definitely take it. But we'll see what happens on Sunday. Hopefully Chelsea can produce a response from midweek and get back to winning ways again, or will Everton make it a fairy tale week and get 3 wins from 3? We'll have to wait and see. But mate, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for your time. It's greatly appreciated. If people want to check out what you guys do, where should they go?
So we're at the Toffee Blues on YouTube, on Twitter as well. Go and watch our videos if you want to see the Everton perspective of things. There'll be loads of content there after the game. So I imagine if you win, you might want to see it. If you lose, probably not. But yeah, check us out anyway.
Yeah, guys, make sure you check out the Toffee Blues. I'll link it in the description, tag it in the title. Make sure you go over there, subscribe to the guys, show them some love. Please do that. From myself, guys, I'll catch you again in another video soon. Take care and up the Chels.